Yeah.
I've been waiting years to talk about this. The fourth head of the beast, the four-headed beast. We're gonna be talking about Drizzy Drake, the one, the only. Pause.
Champagne Papi.
Yeah, champagne. Shampoo.
But yeah, Drake, without a doubt, is the best artist of this generation. That goes without saying. I think that is one thing me and you both agree on. And just his body of work, like as a whole, just during this generation was crazy, absolutely crazy. And replay value and hits and radio songs, just everything plays into a part of it. And he's definitely the strongest out of the four that we've mentioned.
I think you've been seeing a lot on Twitter too. A lot of people saying like he didn't start the whole rapping and singing thing, but like he's definitely a pioneer of it. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for him even continuing it, I mean, I could do a whole hour video on what Drake.
I know you could.
The influence that he's had, but it's not even as much as the influence that he's had. But he was the decade. Like you couldn't name 10 bad Drake songs. You couldn't name 5 that are unbearably unbearable to listen to. But from the start of the decade, I mean, without Wayne, of course, there wouldn't be a Drake. So you got to give Wayne a lot of the credit for that too, and a lot of the style. And you can call Drake a culture vulture, biting off people's style, but you at the end, like you said, at the end of the day, what are you playing? Like everyone's playing Drake. I don't care if you didn't like Drake. He's in your top 5 for your Spotify list.
Yeah. Like
that's just how much he's dominated the decade. I think with just a lot of the image that he had, you know, I think he's the most relatable rapper because the things that he raps about, you know, even in So Far Gone, it's just like we're all every male, even the females can relate. We're going after this one person, or we want love, and it's a different type of love. You know, it's not the 90s lovey-dovey type of stuff. It's like it's modern, like, oh, you didn't hit me back, or like, I hope you're doing good with the other dude. Yeah. Like type of stuff that's just so relatable, and I think that's what separates Drake from a lot of these artists, and I think that's what a lot of the R&B is today. You know, it is just very relatable.
Yeah, definitely. And Drake, I feel like he gets picked at and poked at a lot more than he should, but I mean that's what comes with it when you have such a big platform, like we just talked about in our last episode with J. Cole, how everyone was like, it was cool to say that for a while. Like Pump had kids saying that, like, and had this new wave coming up that didn't have an appreciation for him saying that because it was cool. It was cool at the moment. So I think people like to hate Drake, and being at the top of your game, people are going to hate you. People out there hate LeBron, which is completely weird to me. How? Like, this is greatness, and like you can hate him as much as you want, but this dude's here to stay, and he has such a big impact on everything, and Drake really portrays that as well.
And I think even with Drake's team, although he's not close with them, I think like with The Weeknd, Party Next Door, some of his newer acts, Roy Woods, Baca, Not Nice, all of them.
It's a shooter.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a shooter.
Although they may not be as close like as a lot of these, the Dreamville, the TDE, but he's influenced them so much, and they've influenced him so much. I mean, if it wasn't for The Weeknd, we wouldn't have a Take Care.
Exactly.
If it wasn't for there's rumors that without Party Next Door, there wouldn't be a Views. Yeah. You know, some of this pop style that he got, pop sound, I should say. It's an exact representation of the culture and during that time. Drake saw it, viewed it, flipped it into his own wave, and he's still doing it to this day. He's been in the UK, he's been overseas. You can hear some of that in More Life. Yeah. You know, and then with Scorpion, I think he went more back to his roots, whether people like it or not. And I think that Drake is just, I mean, he completely and utterly dominated the decade.
Without a doubt.
There's no denying it, whether you like him or not, he did. He was everywhere.
Yeah.
SNL, the ESPYs.
Mm-hmm.
He started out as an actor. You
Yeah.
know? And I didn't watch Degrassi, but a lot of people know him from that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot of people I love when people do acting and people do other things, just like Kanye has done so much, because being an artist in the hip hop industry, I think people expect you to live in a box, and they don't want to see you do other things. That's why Kanye gets so much hate, and that's why Drake got so much hate as well for being so invested in the Raptors. Like, he's from Toronto. Like I could see if he's just hopping on a bandwagon, but he's from Toronto. Like, he's invested in that place, and half the artists that you mentioned that are signed with him are from Toronto. So him showing his appreciation and his love through that, you could just really see how genuine of an artist he is.
And he gave us one of the best beefs of all time with Meek. You know, I think for someone to even go at Drake was super brave.
Bold.
But he did expose Drake for. Drake could have said, "Yeah, I collaborated before Meek dropped anything." I think it's just good that he bounced back from it. He could have easily just been done and started making. He does still make the radio hits and stuff, and he might be obligated to label wise. We don't know his situation, and who wouldn't want to get a bag? We already said that Cole and Kendrick are the realest. Although we don't know any of these people personally, they're the realest out of the four. So I already said that, but when it comes to the music, when it comes to influence, likableness, I think just Drake is number one. And every album that he's put out, whether he's gotten progressively worse, in your opinion, his albums are still amazing to this day.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's what kind of blew my mind. I've grown not to appreciate his music less, but I like the older stuff. I like listening to his older music, but I take a step back sometimes. I'm like, well, now this is fire too. This new stuff is fire too as well. And that's what blows my mind with the young kids, with Tyler's festival. I Can't Vlog Now. That blew my mind. He brought out one of the best artists of our generation, and he literally got booed off stage. And that was just so crazy to me. How are you gonna do that to Drake? This is Drake. This is he's had one of the biggest influences in hip hop. And you're gonna boo this man off stage he's just nobody. And I feel he just gets so much hate that is not deserved.
And I think one of the things that we were talking about with Cole, how he was the end of the joke for honestly a couple years. His music's boring, this and that. You have a chip on your shoulder at that point. And what J. Cole did with it was amazing. These last 3 years, J. Cole has just been dominating. So let's see what Drake can do with it.
It's gonna be exciting.
Like I said, the approach that Cole had, it was more mature. Listen here, let me let you know what's going on. Sit down, real quick, kid. Let's see what Drake has to do, because even on Twitter with that video that's been rolling around, who invited you? Everyone's just been why are all of a sudden people disrespecting Drake? Let's see what type of fire he comes out with.
Exactly.
Let's see what passion he's coming out with, what he has to say on his next album. And I think, one of the four heads is Kanye that we discussed, and we talked about Cole, basically coming at him, letting him know how he felt towards him. The follow-up that Drake had with Kanye, I just think if Kanye wasn't that important, why would they be spending time? And I think Kanye just had a big influence on Drake and all the artists.
Without a doubt.
All of them.
It's OG.
So, that's OG for sure. But you can just see how Drake and all of them are taking that energy and they're using it into their fashion, into their art and their body of work.
Yeah, it's definitely going to fuel him. I was glad we got to take a look at that snippet he dropped today. Sounds like he's going to be on some real rap and shit.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the future. I don't think Drake is ever going to have a point where he falls off until he's done.
Best Drake album.
Take Care.
Take Care?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I guess that's crazy because the two albums that a lot of people discuss is Take Care and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and they came out at the top of the decade. So I don't know. Let us know what you guys think is a good album that in between the decade that we can talk about, because obviously those are albums that define the decade.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't really come up with anything that really is better than those two albums. I mean, you got To Pimp a Butterfly and Born Sinner.
Great albums. There's so many great albums this decade, but when it comes down to the replay value and when it comes down to how hard that stuff hit and just how it affected the audience, those are definitely two of the strongest albums of the decade.
Yeah, I think Drake will be here for a while. I mean, we'll see. He's been getting a lot of disrespect lately. Let's just see, like I said, let's just see how he flips it, how he turns it, what type of energy he comes with from this humbling experience that he's been going through lately.
Yeah. When it comes to all these artists, I'm just excited to see what this decade is going to take into the next. It's been awesome to see these artists grow and develop and to see all their progression throughout this decade. And I'm excited for the next decade as a hip-hop fan and excited for all the new stuff that's going to come out.
Yeah, who's going to be next, you know?
Exactly.
Like, there has to be another big person coming out, or maybe they're already here and they're going to explode into this superstardom.
Exactly. All right, you guys. Thank you for watching, as always. Thank you for listening to our Four-Headed Beasts. Let us know if you have anybody else that should be in the conversation. Let us know how you feel about our choices and just give us some general feedback.
Always, thanks for tuning in. And like Solo said, yeah, let us know. It's well appreciated, and we're not perfect, so we might have missed somebody. We might have missed some points, even on the artists that we discussed. But always, thanks for tuning in.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching the Synopsis.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's gonna be weird. Don't cut it off though.